Welcome to Unit 4. Today we're diving into your final essay, the Classification Research Paper with Argument. This is your chance to showcase everything you've learned this semester, combining your critical thinking, research, and writing skills to explore a contemporary issue that matters to you. First, let's look at the basic prompt for this assignment. This allows you to choose the specific topic and issue to classify. First, identify a contemporary issue that you are passionate about or that directly impacts your life or community. This could be a social, cultural, technological, environmental, or political issue. Then classify and divide and analyze the different aspects or perspectives related to your issue, drawing on your own experiences, observations, and at least 5 credible sources. So, what is it all about? Well, our purpose is to show that we understand how to classify things into different categories. But we're not simply just telling people that something belongs to a category. We're then analyzing the significance of putting it into those categories, right? And this is going to then impact a community that you identify with. We're going to talk about community at the end of the video. Your mode is classification division, which is chapter 12 in your textbook. The length here is 900 to 1500 words in MLA format. And again, you have to have 5 credible sources. In another video that I do, I talk about how to determine credibility, and there is an entire list of sources that are not considered credible for an academic argument, and you need to make sure you're paying attention to that. But if you're watching the other videos in the series, you will get my feedback on all of that. So what's going on in this unit that's graded? Well, some of these things are activities that we've done in every assignment. We've done the reflection post worth 5 points. We've done the essay outline worth 25 points, and we've done the tutor.com feedback worth 5 points. Those haven't changed at all. You'll be using this exact same prompts and templates for all of those. However, we do have 2 extra assignments that we usually don't have, and that's because this is a research assignment and we break down things into smaller components, and those each help you along the way to finish the paper. The first is a research elements quiz. This is 50 points, 50 questions, multiple choice, true, false. The instructions will tell you what to use to answer those questions. The second is the evaluative work cited. This is kind of like annotated bibliography light. It is a much shorter form of the annotated bib, which is something that you will do in Comp 2. And in fact, this entire unit is a way to bridge you into the next required writing course by doing some research. And then, of course, you have your final draft worth 100 points. In addition to the generic prompt that allows you to pick a specific topic, I've also given you up to 19 sample prompts that you can use. These also include sample thesis and topic sentences, so be aware that you can use the prompt as is, but you cannot use the thesis or topic sentences for your paper. They are there just to give you an example of how someone might write about this. They give you some idea of what I'm looking for in terms of the structure and the specificity and the layout of those components. So we've got the evolving landscape of social media, the gig economy, opportunities and challenges, coping mechanisms in the age of stress, the changing face of dating and relationships, the student debt crisis, causes, consequences, and solutions, the impact of technology on learning, the rise of plant-based diets, health, ethics, and environmental impact, the impact of streaming services on entertainment consumption, the changing landscape of retail, online versus bricks and mortar, the role of social media and activism and social change, the impact of artificial intelligence on the job market, the rise of name, image, and likeness or NIL deals in college sports. That's a real hot topic right now. The professionalization of esports, opportunities and challenges, the impact of social media on mental health, the rise of remote work, benefits and challenges, nursing, the challenges and rewards of a caring profession, aviation, the future of air travel in a changing world, ranching, balancing tradition and sustainability in modern agriculture, and the oil and gas industry navigating the energy transition. So I tried to pick things that students have liked to write about in the past, I've also looked at your About Me discussion board post and tried to pick things that I thought would match up with interest that you expressed in your posts. And of course, the generic prompt that allows you to pick an issue would give you a chance to write about something that's not on this list. But I highly recommend that you look at the sample prompts to see that when you're choosing your own topic, that it's matching the focus, the specificity, and the kind of the depth that the other ones have. So let's look at one of those prompts. This is about the gig economy. So explore the growing trend of gig work, drawing on your own experiences or those of someone you know. So first you're going to divide gig work opportunities into categories, and then you're going to analyze the advantages and disadvantages of each. So notice it tells you specifically what you have to do. If you only talk about advantages, then you've not completely talked about everything that's in the assignment. So you need to make sure that you're going and you're looking at those verbs, right? So explore, divide, analyze, right? Those are all things that you're going to have to do in here. And then it says consider factors like flexibility, income potential, job security, and the overall impact on workers' lives. Now this says consider factors like, right? You can just look at these factors, but there are other factors that you might find more suitable to the way you want to talk about this. And then it says incorporate at least 5 credible sources to support your analysis. Your essay should be 900 to 1500 words. And notice it says drawing on your own experiences. So every one of the prompts, whether it's one that I've written or one that you write yourself, must have not only the 5 credible resources, but also must include personal experiences and observations that you have. If you don't do both of those, then you will not pass this essay. Okay, so let's look at the sample thesis that we have here and topic sentences. So the gig economy, there's our topic, offers flexibility and autonomy, but its lack of traditional benefits, unpredictable income, and potential for exploitation underscore the need for worker protections and fair compensation. So we can see the categories, the argument or stance that the author is taking about this topic. And then we get our topic sentences, we actually see that they are using specific types of gig to match with each of these problems, right? So again, how you categorize is going to be one of those things that's kind of flexible. Here, they've given us 3 types of gig economy, right? But in the thesis, they only say gig economy. They focus on the 3 points they're going to argue about that gig economy. But they do give us specific examples in the topic sentence that they're going to use to explore the problems, right? And then again, what are they going to say about it? You know, why is it a problem? And why does it need a solution? And then again, offer some kind of solution. I don't expect you to be an expert. Just again, think about what might we do, right? Again, food delivery services cater to consumer convenience, but may prioritize speed over worker safety and fair wages, right? Again, think of who your audience is. And at the end, when you get to that reflexive part, and again, I've given you a sample essay, please look at it because you see what I want when it comes to offering some kind of reflection or solution. You know, you have to go beyond just saying, okay, here's what's wrong with it, right? Offer us something that allows us to say, we got to do something, and this might be the way to act. So once you have your topic, or when you're considering your topic, let's think about these considerations. First of all, remember, you have to make it personal. How does this affect you or people that you know? You must consider diverse perspectives. This is what makes argument solid, not just thinking about what matters to you, but thinking about all the people that are involved here. What are their considerations? What are their viewpoints? Why do they believe what they believe? And you try to find a solution that incorporates all of those different perspectives. Now, you can't please everybody, but if you ignore someone's real pain or real struggle, then you aren't really finding an arguable position, are you? You're only solving it for people who are only maybe over here, right? Causes and consequences, what are the roots and potential outcomes of the issue? And then what are some possible solutions? How might you address those problems? So when we're doing our thesis and topic sentences, remember that the thesis clearly states your argument and it provides the three categories or three issues that you're looking at. And your topic sentences then take those three things and identify them at the beginning of every paragraph, and that's what connects it to the thesis. To master the one sentence thesis, remember it has to be concise yet powerful. Succinct does not mean simple, but it can't be more than one sentence. It has to be grammatically correct. And then it has to have the topic, the argument that you're making, and those 3 points. When you're trying to find your topic, think about what are you classifying or dividing. You might have an issue that you care about, and think about, oh, I really am interested in this problem. So how can I break it down into categories? What is there something that I can divide it into? The difference between classification and division, I think, is one of external versus internal. Classification, I think, is something that happens when you have a lot of diverse things that aren't logically together, and you're trying to sort them into some kind of pattern. So let's say you're interested in writing a paper that promotes Shawnee, and you're talking about different events that would appeal to different people. Well, all those events are going to run the gamut, right? From golf to water sports to ballooning, whatever, right? They don't all fall into the same classification. So what can you do to classify those things? Well, you might consider audience. What are things that that senior citizens could be interested in? People with pets, people with children, single people looking maybe to date, right? So you've got all these things that are there. Now you've got to classify them to show how they might all be connected. Anything that senior citizens would be interested in, right? Division, I think, though, happens internal to out. Division, I think, is something that when you have a group of things that are alike, but you want to sort them into different categories to make sense of what they mean. For example, Mexican restaurants in Shawnee. What if you're trying to write to people saying, here are the if you really like Mexican food, here's what we've got, and here's what you should know about each. So they already are part of a group. But now you've got to divide them more finely into categories to help people understand, right? So maybe some people only want certain kind of Mexican food, right? Like if you go to Cazadoras versus Don Ciro's, right? They've got a lot of different things on their menu because the people that run those come from different places in Mexico, right? You're not going to get some things at Cazadoras that are on the Don Ciro's menu. Now you're going to get enchiladas and tacos and burritos and chimichangas, but then they have other things that are more specific to their region. And of course, that's much different than if you go to Taco Bell, right? So, you could classify these. So you might have fast food. You might have, spicy. You might have more everyday, the kind of Mexican food that you could actually eat day in and day out, as opposed to just maybe the stuff that you only eat occasionally, right? Or you can look at things like cleanliness, variety, cost, right? Whether they serve margaritas or not. That's always an important one, right? So again, all of those things, Mexican restaurants are part of a whole. Now you're going to divide them. Events in Shawnee, widespread out. You've got to figure out how can you move them into different categories, okay? So that's kind of what the difference is in classification and division. So think about, are you trying to classify something, or are you trying to divide it, right? So again, that makes sense, right? If it's all one, dividing. If it's loose, you're classifying. So here are some ideas. Instead of video game players instead of just games, romantic comedies instead of just movies, right? Though again, romantic comedies might not actually be suitable for this because you have to find an issue with your community. So if you are, let's say that you are LGBTQ and you are trying to argue that there aren't enough romantic comedies to really reflect the needs of all society. And so maybe you want to classify this by why might there not be? What might be the prejudices or the impediments to there being more LGBTQ romantic comedies? So you're going to classify those, right? Or you could talk about what are the kind of romantic comedies that tend to be out there. Maybe you say that they're all stereotypical and you want something that's much more authentic, right? So that's how you might take that and make it into an issue. The next thing is your argument, right? You've got to have that central claim about the category or part. So you are showing, a position that you're taking on something that has significance. People disagree about it. You find that it's really important that people understand this. So that's that other component. So again, your main points, they're going to be the categories or divisions that you're going to discuss in the paper. That's what they're going to be. They have to be the focus of your body paragraphs, and you need to list them in the order that you're going to present them in the body paragraph in your thesis. Same old, same old. So here is a thesis template that you can use. Now you can actually end up letting that be your thesis template to use in the essay, but I find templates are really good just to get that working thesis, right? When you're first starting out and you're trying to wrangle that thing into that one sentence, this is just a really great way to kind of put everything in place, and then you can refine it and make it better. So you're going to basically have, here's my topic, and it can be classified into category 1, category 2, category 3, based on these criteria, and this is going to reveal something important. And here's an example. Video game players can be classified into casual gamers, hardcore gamers, and professional gamers. Now we're going to expect to see a body paragraph for each one of those. And then maybe there's 2 ways you can do this. And then why? Here's the criteria: level of commitment and skill, diverse motivations, and playing styles, right? And this is what shapes the gaming community. And there's the argument, right? That the gaming community is shaped by these things. So you can organize this in 2 different ways and still make sense. Every body paragraph could be about the different kind of gamers. And then in each body paragraph, you're going to cover the gamer's commitment to skill, their diverse motivations, and their playing styles. So do that for casual gamers, then do it for hardcore, then do it for professional. Right? The other way you can do this is you can make each body paragraph about each one of these criteria: commitment, motivation, playing style. And in there, you would basically do a little comparison or contrast of each one, arguing basically why the differences in commitment and skill have an impact on the gaming community. It probably makes more sense to do it by gamers rather than criteria. But sometimes you can do criteria first. This is just one of the things that you play with your essay and figure out which is the most logical kind of breakdown that you're going to talk about, and what's going to be easier to talk about. Here, it's going to be much easier to cover all the 3 criteria by gamer than to do each criteria and try to do all gamers in each paragraph. So start with a longer draft and then refine your thesis, right? Now, on your outline, I still want to see 1 sentence. But if week 1, your thesis is 2 or 3 sentences, that's okay. That's your rough draft. Use strong verbs and precise nouns. Ensure your argument is clear and debatable, and then revise your thesis as you develop your paper. Again, none of this is new, right? This is what we've been doing. So as you go along, you might have an epiphany and realize you're going to take your paper maybe in a little bit different direction. You got to revise your thesis. Just make sure that if you've already written stuff, you go back and make sure that it matches your new thesis. So as promised, what is community? Because that's part of the prompt. Identify an issue in your community and then divide it, right? A lot of times people hear community and they think about their city, their neighborhood, and that certainly is true. Geography can be a community, but really a community is a group that has shared interests, experiences, or identities. So think about that. You're having to use your personal experience in this essay. Maybe you want to talk to other people who have the same experiences, and you're going to try to classify that into what it means, right? Examples: sports teams, online groups, professional organizations, cultural groups, right? All of those things count as communities, right? So research requirements: 5 credible sources that must pass the TRAP test. Other videos that I've given you for this unit talk about the TRAP test. So either if you've not watched those, you'll get it sooner or later. The evaluative work cited paper is about showing me that you're understanding how to apply the TRAP test. There is also on your instruction handout a list of unacceptable sources that are not academic. If you use anything for your 5 sources that is on this list, you will not be able to pass the paper because you will not have done sufficient credible research. So make sure you're looking at that list. It includes things like blogs and user-generated content and all that. And I've given you a real clear explanation of why they're not good and also what I kind of define them as well, so that should help you identify them. Remember, you're supposed to incorporate research throughout. I want a quote and or a paraphrase in every single paragraph. I think you can get by with doing 8 in total. 1 for the introduction, 1 for the conclusion, and then 2 in each body paragraph. 1 that's in the explanation part and 1 that's in the analysis part. I think that's a good minimum kind of quote use here. And again, you must use MLA 9. Other resources, you got chapter 12 that you're assigned to read. This is about the classification and division paper. I've given you other handouts as well as videos that walk you through the components. Obviously tutor.com. You don't have to just use it for the one that I require. You can submit your paper multiple times. So you might want to submit it to say, I'm not sure if this thesis is a classification argument. Can you help me? Right? So you could turn that in. You could turn in your evaluative works cited paper and ask them, how they think that goes. Make sure you're copying and pasting the instructions though, so that they see what you're being asked to do. And of course, I'm always here to help. If you need it, just reach out and I will give you my best. So I will see you in the next video. Good luck. We're finished strong. We've got 3 weeks left. They're going to go fast. We're doing 6 weeks worth of work in 3 weeks. But you've come this far. Don't give up now. Finish strongly. Bye-bye.